Like Katie, this is my favorite topic to talk about because it's really important for pretty much any business you're in, and it's something you can pretty much do yourself. I'm not really here to sell you anything. I'm here to try to empower you to level up in a way that you can do it. A lot of people hear about SEO. It's like a buzzword in my industry. Search engine optimization is what it stands for. It's been something that's been around for a long time. And I have often been quoted as calling this the snake oil of my industry, because a lot of what people sell for, say, SEO services often is things that work. It's not like they don't work, but they're oftentimes for, if you're Nike or Coca-Cola trying to be online and get up to the top for people in St. Louis or somewhere else in the country, whereas if you're trying to expand your business locally, if you do a different set of things. And so we're going to talk about what you're going to do to try to reach customers locally, whether you're a service business or a retail or anything in between. So this is me. I have a company called Sermo Digital. We just hit our 10-year anniversary actually earlier this month or last month, which is awesome. I've worked in digital marketing since 2016. I've lived here since 2017. And so I'm a small business owner too. I use these same tactics, probably not as well as I should. I'm good at telling people what to do, but I don't always take my own medicine. And then I'm a city council member here in Cle Elum, and well, that's old. I was the Rotary Foundation president, but big in Rotary. So we're going to kind of do an overview of local SEO, and then talk about kind of how that applies to your online platforms, talk about local listing sites and their importance, and then talk about reviews and online reputation, which are a big part of this too. So let's talk about local SEO and what it is and why it's important. So when you're looking for a local business that has a thing that you need, or to find a service provider, or even looking for something like a new church, how do you find it, right? Used to be that we would talk to our friends or get advice from a trusted person or a neighbor. Well, I think we still do that, but I think a lot of people now have moved to going to Google or going to Yelp or going to some of these other places where they can get crowdsourced reviews from people all over the place and kind of start to winnow down and make a decision. So, your customers are no different. When they're looking for a product, they're going to go online to find it. And so, I saw the stat: 88% of consumers who do a local search on their smartphone to, find something that they need locally, that they visit or call that store. 88% of the visit or call that store within a day of looking it up. So, they're striking while the iron's hot, and so you want to make sure that you're the person that they call. And in fact, nearly 46% of all Google searches now are seeking local information about a business or product, which is kind of a staggering number. I was kind of shocked when I saw that. So local SEO essentially is improving your visibility on search engines. If somebody's searching for the thing that you do, primarily for brick and mortar, but also certainly online businesses as well if they're local, because people generally want to work with somebody local if they can. At least that's what I hope. And search engines rely on not only your website, but also your social profiles, the local listings that you're on, links from other sites, and all of these other things to sort of build a holistic view of your business, and they sort of assign a value to it based upon all of those things. So it's important that you're sort of hitting all these things and optimizing all these things so you rise, to the top of the pile, so to speak. And so consistency is key. You'll hear that as a kind of as a key point through this whole thing, is that consistency of that information is really, really important. And then good customer reviews, just like looking up something on Amazon, right? When I go to search for something, I'm looking for not only something that has high reviews, but also something that has a lot of reviews, right? Because that generally means that that company hasn't necessarily paid for 7 people to write a good review, and that it may not actually be a good product. But also that can be misleading, right? I was talking to Katie before this, and my favorite thing is going to an Amazon listing and somebody give them a 1. I always go to the 1-star reviews to see what they have to say. And it's like, this didn't get here when Amazon said it would. Well, that's not a problem with the product, right? That's a problem with Amazon. But people are gonna complain because that's what we do now. So looking at some key stats, like I said, 46% of all Google searches are looking for local information. 72% of consumers that did a local search visit a store within 5 miles. So that's a big deal too, right? Is if you're a local brick and mortar, if they can find you, they're likely to come to you. 61% of mobile searchers are likely to contact the local business if they have a mobile-friendly site. So that's a really key thing. It's pretty standard now, but I'm actually kind of surprised how often I still land on a website that isn't what we call mobile responsive. Essentially, it means the site sort of breaks down to fit nicely on your phone screen instead of it being where you have to like pinch and pull to view everything. So that's really important. People will bounce right off your site if it's not viewable on a mobile device. And I mean, every month, but certainly every year, we see the percentage of views on websites kind of across the board, all industries we work with, tick up, that it's more mobile views than ever before. And so it's super important. It's why, like my company, we build websites. We start by building the mobile version and then expand to the desktop version, because to us, that mobile experience is the most important thing now. Near me and close by type searches grew by more than 900% over 2 years. So people are really looking for local stuff. And I think that probably COVID did some of that too. But also it could have affected it in the opposite way too, as everybody was using Amazon more. They couldn't go to stores for a while. And then 4 out of 5 consumers use search engines to find local information. That's not too surprising. So let's talk about your online platforms. So your website, right? Website's the most important thing that you can have. I would say more than Facebook, more than anything else, your website is super important. Why? Well, one, because it's your thing. You control every aspect of what it looks like. It needs to reflect your brand. It can have all the things you want on it. So it's really important that it's modern, that it's on brand and easy to navigate, right? It is your, I see a lot of businesses that put a lot of work into their storefront, right? That their window displays and everything look really top notch. But I'm always surprised how many of those businesses don't put that same amount of effort into their website. But it's the same idea, right? It's the curb appeal. It's just not the physical curb appeal. But your website is your always on storefront that people are going to go to at whatever time. It should look exactly like you want it to look and reflect your brand. Mobile friendly and secure, right? Super important. Every website should load securely now. Essentially, what's got the little padlock up there. In fact, Google will dramatically suppress your results if you don't have a secure website anymore, because it's just industry standard and it's kind of their way to force people to get there. It's not a hard thing to do, but oftentimes it takes hiring someone to do it, just because it's slightly technical to get done, but it's super important. And if you use something like Squarespace or Wix or any of those, you just pretty much click a button these days and that happens. So if you don't have that, you just need to go and find that in your settings, and it's literally one click, and within 10 minutes it'll be done. So on your website, you always want people to link back to your website, right? Everything you do, you want it to link back to your site. So your social posts, anything you put out there, the goal is to drive them to your website. Why? Because again, you can control what we like to call the funnel, right? It's that sales funnel. So you can drive them back to the website, and you can design the experience to get them to do whatever they need to do to get to the action you want them to take, whether that's buying something, whether that's sending in an inquiry or whatever. You can do the best sales pitch on your platform that you control all of the content on, versus trying to rely on Facebook, how you can have a display on Facebook and do it for you. Facebook and Google and Yelp and all those things have great features, but like I've said already, you can't control them. and a lot of them can push people to your competitors, right? Because they can pay to essentially jump above you, or even like on your Yelp page, they actually display competitors who pay to display on their competitors' Yelp page. So again, they're not always looking out for you and your best interests. They're looking out for their platform and who will pay them the most money. It's the same reason that Facebook posts don't get the kind of reach they used to. The rule of thumb used to be you got about 8 to 10% of your total likes would see any given post. That's not the case anymore. They want you to pay to get any kind of engagement unless you have some piece of content that to that selection of people they show, if they don't immediately engage with it, it generally gets suppressed. So they're looking for, because of the sheer amount of content that gets posted every day, they know that, you know, that sliver or percentage of is going to be the good stuff. And so they watch instant metrics to see what things get engaged with, and those immediately get more organic reach than you having to pay for it. So off topic, but I would say definitely when you post stuff, immediately, you know, go engage with it from your personal account. And if you have employees, have them do the same thing, because that kind of engagement is really, really important, because they measure on that sort of instantaneous engagement on it. And then, you know, keeping your website up to date is also super important for several reasons. One is just kind of having your hours or menu or services or whatever it might be, making sure all that stuff's up to date. But also just having featured content that changes, because since everybody pretty much uses Google Analytics to monitor the analytics of their site, Google has like this backdoor into your website, because they offer you this free service to see all of the analytics. They also use all of that data to determine how great your website is or not. And so, like, one of the metrics that you'll see in Google Analytics is time on site, right? And so that is how long from the moment somebody lands on your website to the moment they bounce off and go somewhere else. They put a high value on sites that have a higher time on site, because that means that you have engaging content that somebody came for, and then they saw something else and they went and did that, right? So it's all about, like, you know, if they're going to read a blog, make sure at the bottom there's other stories you might be interested in, or something that features other things, so they might click and read something else, because that's going to increase their time on site. And so that's really important, because that's a big metric they use to say, does this provide valuable content or does it not? And then the big thing, again, this acronym will come up a lot in this presentation, is NAT. It stands for name, address, and phone number. Put that everywhere, because that's what people are coming to look for half the time, is just where are you located, or how do I get a hold of you? And having that be consistent and on everything is super, super important. And then adding location pages, right? So even if you're a single location business, have on your contact page information about where you are, what your address is, what your hours are, because again, that needs to be consistent with your Facebook page, with your Yelp page, with all those things, so that that information is consistent across the board. Because the more times something is on all of your different properties, we'll call them, again, the more put together you look to these, well, now AI, that's essentially judging your business's value by all of these metrics. And the last thing is focus on quality inbound links. So inbound links are links from somebody else that are linking to your website, especially from local sources. So I'm guessing you all are chamber members, right? Make sure your chamber profile is filled out, because the chamber's website is going to be considered high value. Those are chamber websites in general are considered to be a valued source in pretty much every community. And so those links are really important. It's one of the, to my mind, there's lots of things the chamber offers that are good, but having your business listed on the chamber website is worth paying for in itself. And also, you know, having other businesses that might potentially link to you, really, really important. They didn't pay me to say that either, right? Seriously, they did not pay me to say that.
What's that sign say? Right?
I don't think I ever renewed my chamber membership this year. So anyway, all right. So social media. social media is a way to keep yourself right in front of the community. It's the free way to do it. And it's really, really important. So, you know, one of the big things is there's new social media platforms all the time, right? Like, I don't know, the kids use TikTok now. That's the thing that everybody uses. I might actually have a TikTok account, but I don't think I've logged into it before. A lot of businesses think, well, the kids are using it, so I need to be on it. I'm going to tell you, unless you really like making TikToks for your business, don't focus on that because it's not where stuff's coming from. The people that are going to spend money in your business for the most part are going to be on Facebook and Instagram. And that's frankly because it's generally folks that are 30 and over that have more expendable income. And so, but also know your community, right? Know where your community engages. And I know this community spends a lot of time on Facebook, too much time on Facebook, this community spends. But also, if I was going to say in this community where you should spend most of your time for most businesses, I would actually say it's Instagram. The Instagram community in this community is really great. Businesses do an amazing job at supporting each other and engaging with each other's content. And that's super, super helpful for the community at large. And it's really cool to see. So I would say the nice thing is you can connect the two. So I would really focus on making your content very Instagram friendly and make sure you also post it to your Facebook page. Video is good, but supporting text is really important too. But video is good. Utilize video, utilize this amazing computer that has more technology than the thing that landed on the moon. Use that a lot and use the video function because video is engaging. Video is what social media platforms push, because they want you to doom scroll, if you're familiar with that term, but it's that idea of just continuing to scroll through Facebook forever, which is what I find myself doing in the evenings when I've put my children to bed and have checked out for the day. And video is one of those things that keeps people engaged. So video is a really, really good way to get some of that organic reach because that's what they want to push. But the supporting text is important because not everyone, sometimes people will, I was sitting at a lunch next to the mayor of a very large city in this state, and she was scrolling Instagram during this luncheon without her audio on, but you can still get a lot because they caption the videos and all of that. And so having what's in the captions is really important because you can still get the message across and they can watch without sound. And so I think it's super, super important that you have some quality stuff in there. And again, that having your address and your hours and maybe your phone number on most posts is probably not a bad idea, right? So that people know where you are and when you're open to be able to buy this thing that you're featuring or this thing you're talking about. You know, again, NAP optimize, make sure your name and address and your phone number are correct on there. You know, Google also now considers social media when they're looking at your value that they place on you. So making sure that if you set up a social media platform, that you use it. And if you abandon the social media platform, take it down. Because at that point, it doesn't provide you any use. And some people are going to go, well, maybe they're out of business. They haven't posted since, you know, like a lot of businesses got on social media during the pandemic that had never been on there before. And you know what? A lot of those businesses haven't posted since 2021. And to my mind, either have it and use it or don't have it, because again, I would look at some of these businesses and go, I don't know if they're in business because it looks like they haven't done anything since 2021. And you don't want that, right? Make local references whatever possible. So anytime that you're doing, like, I don't know, so we just had the big skate park fundraiser down here at True Brew two Saturdays ago now. And we had businesses from all over the community generously give. And a lot of them bragged about it. Not in a like really boastful way, but hey, we were really proud to support, you know, the skate park fundraiser. Post those things, post about what you do in the community. Because not only do people in the community like businesses that do stuff for the community, but it also is that additional reference that then the words Cleellum and all of that end up in your post which then just reinforces that all of that local ties. So whenever you can reference the community, reference other businesses you collaborate with, mention them, mention the area, but make those connections. They're really important. And then I already said it, but engage in the community and brag about it. Businesses do not do enough because it seems weird to like brag about the things that you do, but that is a really important thing to do because the community will respond to that. And a lot of people want to support businesses more than ever that sort of they feel like share their values or share their interests. And so I think anytime you support the community, you should tell the community about it so that they know. That's the point of doing it. Okay, so let's talk about local listing sites. Oh, I have a question. What platforms, somebody yell out the platforms that your business is on.
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay.
I've made a TikTok for our.
You've made a TikTok, I love it.
It's for fun.
You guys are a young hip business, I like it.
Nathan has a TikTok for his fishing business that we do.
But which is brilliant, right? Because for your business, that makes a lot of sense. Because one, people like to watch that stuff. You have like something that people want to do, like this is that thing, and they'll travel, right, to come to do the thing that you offer. So you have a larger audience that if you actually had a video that went viral, somebody might travel from across the country to come fish the Yakima because it's one of the most amazing rivers to fish on, right?
Yeah.
So in your case, I think that would make total sense. But again, yeah,
I just don't know how to use it.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
You found that it's interesting because some of his videos on Instagram Reels or TikTok will go viral based off, we feel like a song choice that we.
Yeah, that's totally part of it.
People hear that sound or searching the sound, and then it took off. Like one day we posted a video, we called each other like midday because our phones couldn't, like they were tweaking out because our phones were like getting, all these messages and comments and stuff. But it happened like that. So it was a song choice we felt, or a hashtag maybe that kind of kickstarted that. But it is interesting and it's important to stick with trends and things that you see online, because even though you might not necessarily want to be a part of that trend, it is good for your business in some ways.
Find those, like
The trending audio?
musics and trending anything. Somebody who is only
Do a lot of doom scrolling. I mean, part of it is scrolling, and you'll hear it really quickly, the ones that are trending, because you'll see a bunch of them. And two, there's literally accounts you can follow that track those, and we'll do a post every week, like these are the 5 songs to use this week.
You can post.
Oh, it's just on Instagram. If it's trending, it'll have like a diagonal up arrow next to it. This thing not trending on, And it only lasts so long, so you have use it while it's
You
trending.
change so fast. That's the thing.
Right.
That one
You've got
it's done by the next week.
you
So
have a week to use the trending audio. But yeah, I mean, it's an important thing. And then there's also hashtags and all of that. So you can invest a lot of time and energy into those. And if having that, if you have something that again has a broader reach than just Upper Kittitas County or Kittitas County, then I would invest time in that. And you have one of those businesses. I would say that, Drew Brew has one of those businesses to some extent. Like that reach is important because you're a brand that has a broader reach.
for a service or a business selling a product, do you feel like it's beneficial to have accounts on like LinkedIn or Alignable? Because those are 2 for the chamber that we use. But I don't know if there's an ROI from us having that.
Yeah, I mean, I would play around with Alignable. I think the concept's super interesting.
Yes,
in practice, I don't think it's gotten traction yet.
I think Alignable's good for local businesses.
It is.
For us to communicate.
Yes.
But like, there's really no.
You're not going to get consumers. It's a B2B thing. It's not a B2C thing.
Yeah.
Right? And
like our engagement is not there on the post that we do, because I'll always try to like post on that for the chamber as well. We'll get nothing, yet we'll get referrals or recommendations or connections almost daily on there from local businesses. So it's like, is it worth putting the effort and time into it?
And that's the thing with all of these is you need to make sure the ROI is there that when you're spending time on them, right? So part of that is using the tools out there to track if you get a lead for your business, right? That you can track that through the life cycle of lead until they actually make the purchase, and then you can actually track that back to where they came in from, because otherwise you have no way of tracking, especially if you're spending money on these things, is it working? But I would say, like, potentially LinkedIn, yes. I think that depending on your business, LinkedIn could be a really good place. Again, for your business, LinkedIn could be a really good place because it's generally business people who probably have a little more expendable income, and you have a service. I would say, like, a closet organizing thing, same thing, right? That's something that I think many people consider to be more of a luxury than something that is sort of a necessity. And absolutely, you want to be where people are that generally have higher income on the whole, and LinkedIn's that place. So the thing with LinkedIn is their ability to advertise is very general. It's not granular like Facebook is, and so you can only target like the greater Seattle area or the greater whatever area. And so only if it really, you have to do a lot of testing, and it's got to make sense to cast that wide of a net for that to work. But it can work. I've used it, but it's not like Facebook, where you pretty much any business could spend money on Facebook and probably have success, or Facebook Instagram.
Back on the music thing, though,
Yeah.
like, even if something's trending, like, we were trying to, like, my audience is probably like, 30 to 60-year-old outdoorsy guys.
Yeah.
Like, we were like playing like, Led Zeppelin, AC.
Sure.
I mean, like, if something's trending like Nicki Minaj,
Right.
I mean,
Probably not.
right?
Right.
It's not gonna help, right? They're
No.
gonna scroll right past.
Right.
So even if it is trending,
Yeah.
is
But
that
it's not always songs, right? Some of it's some of these like audio things from other videos that you can sort of apply to something, and those can work, right? So it really just depends. But yes, to your point, it's got to also it's got to connect to your audience, right? And knowing your audience is a really important thing, not something that we're going to talk about here, but like that's a really important thing, is to, in all of this, to define who your audience is, and that's how you make those decisions about where to go and what to spend money on. Is where are your people? So one of the things I didn't hear when we talked about social or places that you're on is Google My Business. We're going to talk a lot about Google My Business because it's really important and nobody's on it. So here's sort of the local listings and business directory sites that are out there. And this is not an exhaustive list by any means. So business directories aren't just like a digital version of the Yellow Pages where, users have to drag a book out of the cabinet and flip through thousands of pages to find what they're looking for. They're really comprehensive platforms that enable people to sort of, with a couple keystrokes, identify, learn about, and contact businesses that are relevant to them. It's a really unique thing that has come out of the internet that I think has been a positive thing, because not everything that comes out of the internet is positive. And again, some interesting survey facts. 88% of consumers trust online reviews as much as they trust a personal recommendation from somebody they know, in a Gallup poll, which I thought was super interesting. Because, again, I think people say, well, yeah, my friend might have liked this, but they might have some bias towards this for some reason, whereas, 8,000 people who all aggregate their opinions probably can't be wrong, but maybe they are. And 68% of consumers said they would stop using a local business if they found incorrect information in online directories, because people don't like to have their time wasted in this sort of instant gratification generation. And so if they try to call and that number's disconnected, they're moving on. So it's really important to keep this stuff up. Okay, so long, big list, but let's talk about the ones that I think are where you really should focus. So Yelp, Google My Business, Facebook, TripAdvisor, and Foursquare are kind of things that we're going to talk about when it comes to local listing sites. So on all these platforms, you have to claim your profiles if they're already created. So that's the thing. And a lot of these sites, especially like Yelp and TripAdvisor and some of these, your business might already be there and you haven't claimed your page. And so they will go and like scrape information off chamber websites, off Facebook, off these different places, and they'll just create a business profile for you where people can leave reviews, they can suggest changes to your hours or all sorts of things. And if you haven't claimed that page, they'll kind of do some investigating, but oftentimes they'll just put it up there. And those reviews could be up there and they could all be, and the thing about reviews, right? How often did you feel moved to have after you had a great experience, to go write an online review? Not often. How many times do you feel, like you should go write one if you had a really bad experience? I do it, right? And so it's harder to get positive reviews than negative reviews. And those negative reviews are going to be there. And if that's all you get and you haven't cleaned your page to where you can engage with them, people are going to go, well, this maybe doesn't look like a good place because all they have is people complaining about, what likely are select bad experiences that they have. So claiming those, it's time consuming because you got to do it on each one. But it's worth the time. There's also tools that allow you to sort of standardize and claim them all at once. The one sales pitch I'll give you is that something that I offer to do. It's kind of a one-time thing, but it's useful, and we'll talk about more why. But simply Google your business. Just Google your business name and see what comes up, or Google your name and see what comes up. It's enlightening. And then find those profiles and follow the claims process. There are some other online softwares out there that will do it, but be careful. Some of them are hard to divorce. And once they kind of have you in their thing, they're going to make you keep paying in order to keep access to them, or they're going to make it really hard for you to kind of get away from them. And that's not good unless you pay them monthly, every month in perpetuity. So popular platforms, right? So Google My Business, it's what's going to get you to show on Google Maps and Google Search, which are pretty darn important because Google Maps serves a lot of the maps for a lot of different apps on your phone. Google My Business reviews show up on Android maps. So if you have an Android phone and you'll see that those reviews show up, that's coming from Google My Business.
If we don't have a storefront, how would we do that?
It just goes by the city.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't have one either. I just set mine up yesterday.
Yeah.
So
it just goes by your service area. So you define service area, and that's how they categorize you.
So I did Clallam, Ellensburg, and Kittitas County.
Yeah.
And it kind of just showed me in Ellensburg. That's where it shows me.
Yeah, just like a radius, essentially. Like you pick a point, and most of them will do a radius around you. Say that's kind of where I serve.
Do you know anything about the images on Google My Business? Anything I've put up hasn't been approved.
It takes a little.
It does. It takes
It says not approved. Isn't the problem? I ran it.
on all of them. Yeah, that's.
I did my logo and just that. It was my logo. I own it. I checked the pixels.
I would send.
I
I would probably send a help, which won't happen quickly, but there's probably something you got a flag. Sometimes literally I'll set up Twitter accounts for a client. It'll get flagged before I'm able to log in the first time. And it's just a glitch because their AI looks for certain things and it probably flagged your account as something. And but yes, you should have no problem uploading them. But as Katie said, sometimes they take a minute to get approved. Yelp is so important. It's where most people go for online reviews. Apple Maps uses them. So anyone with an iPhone, they're getting all the review stuff that's in the Maps app comes from Yelp. And Siri and Alexa both use Yelp for suggestions. So if you say, hey Siri, where can I buy whatever around me? It's pulling from Yelp to give you those results. Facebook, I don't have to really tell you, Facebook is important, so do it. Foursquare. So Foursquare used to be a social platform. You used to be able to check in at places, and they have an app called Swarm now that you can still do that. But Foursquare moved into being an enterprise thing that sits in the back end that provides location data for Apple, Uber, Twitter, Microsoft, Samsung, and thousands of other apps. They are now this large data aggregator that provides data to so many apps online. So again, getting in with them, make sure it's correct is really important because it could affect where you view on hundreds or probably thousands of apps. TripAdvisor, important in a place like this, right? In a tourist community, because a lot of people use TripAdvisor when they travel. And so it's heavily used by travelers, but it's authentic user-generated content. And so there's a high value put on it, and people who are traveling often use it, and people who visit here often travel it. So I think it's important, especially for this area. So Google My Business, it's the best one. Google has become the creme de la creme of local search since Google supports and verifies and shares their own content. It's important to be. It's the same like having Google Analytics installed. They're gonna they're going to reward you for using their platform, for using Google My Business. So using it is important because it's, again, going to improve your search results. Their information is used by, like I said, Android phones plus, all sorts of other folks. So, again, having a completed profile is really important if you want it to show up and show up high. And then what was called the Google 7-pack, it's now called the Google 3-pack. It's to show up on, you'll see it's that image on the right-hand side. If you do a Google search, it'll show you like the top 3 results by you for whatever that keyword is. If you want to have a chance of being in there, you better have a complete profile that's claimed, because otherwise you will not show up there. So the example, it's kind of small, but I searched hair salon Cleellum, and those are the 3 that came up because they all have claimed and verified accounts. All right, so benefits of local listing sites. We talked about some of this, so I'll go through it quicker. So due to the fact that,
I kind of have to go, but did I hear you say at the beginning that you do websites?
I do.
Okay, here's information with Katie for you. I'm sure she probably already has it. And
Cool, sounds good.
or that's really old fashioned calling. I'll do something.
You can. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So, due to the fact that business listing sites tend to pull information from one another, getting listed on one directory can mean you're getting listed on several more, which allow you to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as long as you sort of monitor and claim and update these things regularly. Online business directories are massive. We already talked about that, right? They have everybody and everything, but they have this, with AI, especially now, really advanced filtering and suggesting capabilities, that they're able to really dig in and give you relevant local listings on these sites. So again, making sure that all the information on there is targeted to this niche audience that you're very likely trying to reach is really important. These sites allow users to search by specific criteria, such as specialty ratings and other things. So, by having, again, complete information on there, it'll allow you to show up, even if they don't search for your business name, right? But they're searching for something that you do, and as long as it matches those keywords in your description or other places that you can say products or industries or things that you do, that's also super important to make sure that that's there, because oftentimes people aren't searching for a business name, they're searching for a keyword or a product or a service or whatever it might be. And just make sure that you make it easy for customers to contact you, right? Make sure that you have multiple modes of how they can contact you, and that information is on all of these things. What I always talk to clients about is reducing the barriers to somebody making a purchase or contacting you. So you want to make sure that it is as easy as possible for them to reach you and to part with their money. I work a lot with political candidates, and so that's something that we constantly focus on is donations or everything, right? I mean, everybody gets those annoying asks for money from whatever politicians or parties or whatever, and what we're constantly doing is figuring out how we can reduce the friction in that process of you making that online donation, because people stop when they hit a friction point. And so the easier you can make that, or step by step, so they don't see a big long form and think, oh, that's too much for me to do. So you move it on to separate. So you hit next, and then you get another thing. That step process sometimes seems less daunting for people. So it's all about just testing and making sure that whatever mechanism you have to be able to get in touch with you is as seamless as possible for them to get in touch with you. A fear of negative reviews prevents many businesses from getting listed online, but this shuts you off from positive reviews too, which is essential to have a good reputation. So as long as you know how to properly handle one, like responding to it, which is just super important, the cost of one negative review is outweighed by the benefits of many positive reviews. Plus, a mix of reviews can actually strengthen your reputation, because if you go to a business and all you see is positive reviews, people are going to go, they must have paid people to do this. Maybe they're really good, but everybody kind of goes, no, that seems like not everyone's gonna have a 5-star experience every time, because that's just not possible. At least I found in my business, right? And I think most of us would agree that not everyone's always gonna have a great experience. And so it seems almost fake if you only have good reviews. Not that I'm saying go out and solicit negative reviews, but don't be afraid of them either, right? Use it as fuel to get some other good ones, but it makes it show you're a genuine company and nothing to hide. The other thing is people are going to look and see, oh, they responded to that review. And they said, I'm so sorry you had this experience. I didn't know. You know, and I always say, don't get into a, you know, shouting match with them in threads under negative reviews. Just simply say, I am so sorry you had this experience. Please reach out. I want to make it right. One of my business mentors is Bob Donegan, who's the CEO of Ivers in Seattle. And he's always told me, he's like, we will do whatever it takes to make somebody happy if they've had a bad experience. He's like, don't tell people this because it'll cost us a lot. But if you have a bad experience at Ivers and you go and complain and it's legitimate, they will give you a $500 gift card. And the reason that they do that is 2 reasons. One, because you're guaranteed to come back. And 2, because you're going to go tell a bunch of people, man, I had a bad experience and they made it right. You're not going to go back at them, right? And so to him, it's money well spent. They're a big company, they can afford it, but like it's money well spent for them to do that. It doesn't have to be 500, it might be 100 or 50 or whatever, but something that seems really tangible to be like, we are sorry. And we genuinely want to make this better. And so I've always kind of remembered that as like, I've eaten the cost of something that's been screwed up or somebody hasn't been happy. And you know what? Generally that ends up being better than fighting them on it and having them go tell 30 of their friends about what a bad experience they had with the company, right? Especially in a community like this where word gets around quick. Hello, Facebook, and you don't understand why. And then online business listings improve your SEO by sending signals to Google about your online presence and to validate sort of your trustworthiness. Google wants to be trusted by its users, so the information that they obtain about you or that they see, if they see consistency, that's why they rate it higher, is because their goal is to provide a good experience for people who use their products. And so it's advantageous for them to promote things that are going to make them look best. So the more trustworthy and put together your business looks, the more likely they are going to push it up because they want their users to have a good experience, and that the referrals, so to speak, or the people that they're referring to provide a good experience for the people that found them through Google. So they have a vested interest in giving you these tools and having you use them well, because it's all part of their business too, to make sure that their users like what they get out of you. So yeah, again, it amplifies your online presence, helps with logo visibility, you get new customers, all these things. I don't have to read through all those, but those are the reasons that these are important. Improving SEO and search visibility, right? Everybody wants to get to the top page of Google. We all get these spam things like, whoa, they call you and leave you a message. We'll get you on the top page of Google just for the low price of whatever. Well, no, they can't, but it's possible to get on the first page of Google through SEO practices, but it takes a while, right? You're not going to make a change. It's not going to put you on the front page overnight. It can take months, it can take longer, and it takes sort of nurturing to get there. And I don't think being on the first page of Google is like the end all be all, but it is important. And you can do it easier as a local business where you don't have as much competition, right? If you're some online service that provides something that a whole bunch of other people in the space provide, hard to get on the front page of Google. But if you are a business in a small town, it's pretty easy to get there if you just do a little bit of nurturing. So again, using these business directory sites, the cool thing is they've been around for a while and they're considered trusted. They have high amounts of traffic, they're trusted by Google, so they are a link to you that is already a trustworthy inbound link to you. And so being on there, you actually get the benefit of their high reputation having linking out to your website. That means that if your profile is on Yelp, it has a high chance of showing up on the first page of relevant searches on Google because you're on Yelp. Yeah.
I just have a quick question about leaving reviews on the Google websites. So can patients, clients only leave a review if they have a Gmail account?
Yeah, so great question. The short answer to this is I tell people to ask people to leave a review where they're comfortable leaving a review. So if somebody doesn't use Yelp, don't encourage them to leave you a review on Yelp, because Yelp suppresses reviews that look like they're reactionary. Like essentially Yelp's AI goes in and goes, this person created an account to make a 1-star review. They've never been on Yelp before. To them, that's like, well, that's probably a legitimate interaction, but also we don't know, right? And so they might suppress that. So if you ever go on Yelp and you look at the reviews, down at the bottom, it will say filtered reviews. You can click on it and see all the ones that they've sort of suppressed because something in their AI said, this isn't legitimate. And they do a pretty good job, shockingly, of like doing that.
You have to log into that.
You have to log into that.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
So I tell people, say, hey, leave it where, if it's on Facebook, leave it on Facebook. If people use Facebook, if you use Yelp, great, love you to leave it on Yelp. If you use Google, leave it on there, but ask them to leave it where they're comfortable because all of them are important. And again, talk about reducing the barriers to get them to actually do it is you got to make it as easy for them as possible to do it. Because again, taking their time to go write a positive review takes somebody who really, really likes you because they don't have that generally negative motivation to go and blast you online because they're mad at you.
Is it, question, is it worth filtering our reviews based off of relevancy? So for example, like at the chamber, I think a lot of people get confused of what we do. So we'll, like, I'm looking at one right now and people thought that we're the rodeo, but we're not. But we got 5-star reviews. So it's like, is it worth having these weird random reviews on here?
So I mean, getting rid of them is going to be, I mean, on some of them you
There's only
can.
options to report it.
Right, so I would report it. I would reply and be like, hey, we love the rodeo too. That's not us.
Yeah.
But we'll let them know how much you like them, right? So you can kind of, again, not a topic we're talking about today, but your business should have a personality,
Yeah.
right? You should choose what your online persona for your business is going to be because everything you post is in a voice. And so you want to make sure, again, that voice matches your audience. And so, I often encourage businesses to choose sort of a whimsical, so to speak, voice that's sort of friendly and engaging because that's what people want generally. And mix some humor in because I think people, again, they're drawn to companies that they feel good about, that make them feel good. And if, you have a funny person on your staff who can sort of be that personality, then do that. So if I was doing that, I would reply and kind of leave a funny reply like, hey, that's not us, but we'll certainly let them know we appreciate, you come to the road, right? That's funny. I hadn't really, I already counted. But probably because they found that company on your directory and they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
And that's funny. Yeah, exactly. So, I've talked about this already, completing your profile. Make sure your business name is correct. This is a really important one. If your business is called the Sweet Spot Bakery, it needs to say the Sweet Spot Bakery on everything, not Sweet Spot Bakery, because that's a different name and those won't match. And that's really, really important. Same thing with your address in the way you format your address, make sure it's the same. So you abbreviate Avenue, abbreviate it on every one. So it needs to be consistent. Don't have a period, make sure that you leave it as consistent as possible so that there's nothing that makes it look different. Make sure your phone number is the same, make sure that the general email is the same, make sure that all of that stuff is the same across the board. Talking about photos, upload photos, right? So not only your logo, but also a good photo that is an example of what you sell or do, right? So that people can see that, they can get an idea of what your business looks like when they go in. Because again, we put a lot of pride, people who have brick and mortar stores, in making their store look nice. So show that off and show people the experience of what they're, gonna come into, because it just makes it more inviting. Make sure that in the description that you put in there, that it is a concise representation of your business, right? So make sure that I would really workshop that couple sentences that's your business description to make sure that it says what you want it to say, that includes all the things you want it to say, because those are those juicy keywords that it's going to use if somebody's searching for a certain item, that if that's something that you sell and that's something that you want people to find you on, make sure that's in there somewhere. So Take time to write that and to ask other people and make sure it's what you want. Look at your competitors. Look and see what they put in there, because that's important too. Pay attention to details, the apostrophes, the spellings, the abbreviations, make sure those are consistent. They're really, really important. All right, the last thing we're gonna kind of talk about is reviews and online reputation. Talk about some of this, right? Online reviews matter. 88% of consumers say they trust online. Oh, I already said that. Reviews have to be a bigger push for reviews to be unbiased, right? Yelp is a big one. They display a little warning that says that it can actually put on your page that they think that business is soliciting reviews, so they may not be genuine. I still encourage you to solicit reviews, but what I don't encourage you to do is send a blast email to your entire customer list one day and say, please go leave us a review. Because then 7 people will do it in one day and Yelp's going to go, they're paying people to do it, they're offering a discount. No, thank you, right? Not genuine. So I would say, if you have a customer that had a great experience, ask them to write a review, right? If a customer sends you an email saying, thank you so much for something, say, hey, really appreciate this. I know I'm asking a lot, but this is a big thing you can do to support my local, my small business. If you'd go on and write a review on whatever site and just have something you can just paste into the email that's got links to your, couple sites, say whichever one you're most comfortable leaving it on, love it if you would leave it on there. And then if they do leave something, reply back, thank them and offer them a discount or a something, right? People, make them feel appreciated because they are doing you a big favor by leaving that. But they work really hard to remain unbiased or to look unbiased and to look, like these are genuine reviews. So do what you can to make sure that they, you don't send out a sample review to leave and everybody leaves the same review almost verbatim, because again, that can get you in trouble. I've seen that happen. Responding is really important. I already talked about this, but positive or negative, respond. Thanks so much. It really means a lot. If they write something nice, and if it's not nice, do what you can to fix it. You're not going to make everybody happy, but when people go and look at these sites, they're going to say, well, at least they engage and at least they're willing to try, right? Even if somebody's had a bad experience, because I think most normal people realize that, again, no business is going to have 100% 5-star experiences from people. Potential customers, especially tourists, in a place that they don't know, they haven't been, that they don't go to, they're really going to rely on reviews in a place that they haven't been. So in a place like this, if you've got a brick and mortar, especially that relies on tourist traffic, you can't spend enough time nurturing this stuff because it's going to be important for your business. Complete profiles, star ratings, reviews, all of that can be a deciding factor between you and your competitors. So again, worth the time. And again, I talk about humanizing the business by not being perfect. Review responses. I talk about this too, but respond, be nice, acknowledge the issue, apologize, provide an explanation, and then invite them to contact you directly. That's the big part, is have the response be there, but then take it offline, because nothing's gonna be good by having a back and forth online. Getting positive reviews. Encourage positive reviews through in-person requests, signage, something in your email signature, right? Lots of ways to do it. It's important, like I said, to get them consistently, not all at once. So again, if you're gonna ask your customer list to do it, do a phased approach, right? Not everybody's going to do it, so you can send a couple out at a time, but try not to get too many all at once, because that can be bad. I still think offering incentives is really important, because again, it takes people more effort to write a good one because they don't have that self-motivation. Utilize the reporting functions. I haven't talked about this. Yelp has a reporting function, and they have criteria for if somebody, I have a client that I do this for a lot. They're a nanny agency in Seattle, and you deal with a lot of interesting, oftentimes very wealthy people who have very high expectations of, 23-year-old kids that are your nannies, and often have issues, and they love to take to these platforms to do that. Well, we find all sorts of things, like people will have their friends also go on and say, my friend had this horrible experience with these people, stay away. Well, that's not a first-hand experience with that company. You can get that one-star review removed. If they say, this place sucks, but go to ABC, that's like a real place. So go to XYZ nannies, right? Well, they can't do that either, because they don't allow you to essentially like advertise for another person in the reviews. So you can find that criteria, you can get some bad ones removed. And I don't think that's a bad practice, right? Like if we follow the rules, they're going to do this, especially because a lot of the people that say that are really, really horrible with these one-star reviews aren't always thinking rationally when they do it, and they can break the rules and get them removed, and they probably won't come back and do it again because they won't even necessarily realize it's been removed. Consider reputation management software. So that's the software you can sign up for that helps you. They'll actually monitor all your review sites for you and give you a notification when a new one comes up, so you don't have to go to every site and watch for a new one.
So if you get a review on Yelp,
yeah,
are you notified?
Yes. Okay. Most of them do notify you, but not all of them. The big ones do. So Google does, Yelp does. Okay. They'll tell you. Yeah.
So like self-managed, they'll let you know.
Yeah. You'll get an email, and oftentimes they'll actually include it. So yeah. Okay. One of the other things that Google My Business has that I would encourage you to use is they actually have a chat function where people can chat with a business, and you'll get a notification like an email saying this person, they're sending you a chat, comes through email, you can respond, they'll get a notification. But again, if you get those and you ignore them, Google's gonna be like, well, this place is not good because they don't respond. So if you're gonna use their tools, they're gonna sort of require you to use them fully. But again, your response can be, hey, this is not our platform that we normally, communicate on. So please give me a phone number or call me at this number or send me an email, and you can just do it that way. But respond, otherwise that will languish, and then they'll go, well, this isn't a proactive business that's responding.
Looks like you can turn on not just email, but they'll send you a text.
Yep.
On Google My Business.
Yep, exactly. And then integrate reviews into your site. A lot of Squarespace and Wix and some of these other ones, they have little widgets you can just plug in that will connect to your review sites, and also have a thing where you can say only show reviews that are like 4-star above. But putting them on there is good, because again, it's third-party validation of how great you are. And so reputation management software is one called Stacker, Bird Eye, and Yext are the three big ones. I don't recommend Yext. They're one of the ones that traps you. So, okay, so let's wrap up here. And let's kind of talk about action items real quick. So this is the things that hopefully that you gleaned from this that I would say are the most important. Optimize your website, right? Make it mobile friendly. Make sure you got local content, name, address, phone, location pages, getting those links from other businesses, from the chamber, from the downtown association, whoever it might be, get listed, be social, right? So on social media, post regularly. Regularly is whatever you want it to be, but I would say at least once or twice a week is important to look like you're, and the cool part is with most of these social networks, you can schedule posts well in advance. So I have a lot of clients that will literally go in and they will schedule their entire social media calendar for the month ahead of time, get it all loaded in, and they don't have to think about it again. But if something happens, they want to post, they can sort of shoehorn one in, but otherwise you can set it and forget it. Just set aside an hour or 2 hours at the beginning of the month and just get it all set up, and then you're done. Mention your location in your posts, engage with customers, engage in the comments. Again, a thank you goes a long way. And remember to use Google My Business. Claim your profile immediately after this. Make sure the information is correct. Engage with reviews that are already there, even if they're old. And add it to your social posting regimen. So they actually have a portion that you can also put posts on, and it's just delicious SEO content for Google by putting that there. So just add it to your routine of posting when you post to Facebook. Local directories and citations. So go, again, do that Google search of your business. See those pages that already exist and go claim them and go optimize that information on there to make sure it's the same. And then make sure it stays consistent and complete. Some of these, I mentioned this, some of these will have duplicate listings on them. So sometimes for some reason, like if you moved your brick and mortar business down the street, sometimes they won't realize it's the same business. They'll actually create two profiles for you. That's not good because again, one's gonna have really incorrect information. So make sure you go in. Some will allow you to combine those pages together. Others you just have to delete, but get rid or pick the one that's the best one that has the most good stuff on it and get rid of the other ones so there's not duplicate pages. And update holiday hours. Yelp's good about sending emails about this, like, are you open on, Memorial Day or whatever? Make sure to go in and adjust your hours for those holidays. Again, especially because we get a lot of people, right, that come from out of town on holiday weekends, and they are using these platforms to find out if you're open. And if you're not open and it says you're open, they're going to be mad. Inbound links, update your chamber profile. Again, they're not paying you to say that. Find find ways to engage with other people and get links from other businesses you might work with. So like, if you have a service business that works with real estate agents, a lot of them will have like a preferred vendor list on their website. Make sure you're on there. Make sure the information's up to date and what you want it to be. And then participate in the community. Like I said, brag about the things you do. If you support the Little League team or you do, one of these things, do a post. People like it. AI likes it. Everybody likes it, and talk about it.